Assalamu alaikum, my dear young audience. Welcome back to our Children and Youth MCE program from Muharram this year 2020, which Islamic calendar year is 1442 AH. We're going to have the series of programs with you for 10 nights, and we'll be commemorating the Shahada or martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who was killed unjustly in Karbala with his family and companions. But before we continue, let us remind ourselves about what people have said about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Khamenei has said, Imam Hussein taught us all by his sacrifice that this is the true path in all history. Do not mind the inadequacy of numbers. It is the quality that counts, not the quantity. Let the great powers of the world be our enemies, and the truth is clear and will be illuminated. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now we will start our program as we usually do with the recitation of the Holy Quran by our sister Zainab Saleh. Zainab, if you can hear me, please unmute and turn your camera on.
Zainab, your camera's on, but you're muted.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's ready.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا صدق الله العظيم.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you very much, Zainab, for that beautiful recitation of Surah Amma. So today we have, of course, as usual, we have a lesson by Sister Layla and Sister Zainab. And we also have a few other things that will be happening. But can I just remind you all that if you do want to join and recite something for us, please join the Zoom call, and the Zoom code is 279-413-7600. 279-413-7600. And before we continue to Sister Layla, can I just say that, we're very happy, me and Umahani and the team, for the amount of people that have, come out and wanted to recite for us. I think it's really amazing. And, we have only a couple more days left of these children's programs. So please, if your kids do want to recite anything, please do come forward. Please do join our Zoom call and let me know, inshallah, so we can see you and hear you, inshallah. But anyway, now we will head to Sister Layla. Sister Layla, if you can hear me, please turn on your camera and unmute your mic, inshallah, so we can listen to your lesson, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على رسول الله محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام على شهيد كربلاء أبا عبد الله الحسين. Assalamu alaikum, my little children. And I'm going to call you from now on the children of the school of Imam Hussein. Because in these majalis, we are taking the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt and the school of Imam Hussein that show us so many morals and benefit that which will guide you to become a better Muslim. I hope you will enjoy the lesson of today, which is about التولي and tabarri. What does these two means? It's one of the فروع الدين, which mean one of the things that really important, and it will it's the 9th peril of Islam. So to come one by one, what is tawalli? It means you're taking the roots and the knowledge and the path of that teach you to be with God. So there's so many verses of ayat which tell us about how does it work. For example, in Surah Umran, verse 31, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it say if you love Allah, follow me. Allah will love you and forgive you your sin. For Allah is forgiveness and merciful. So, if you want the merciful God, if you want the forgiving God, you have to follow the rules. And that's how you get His mercy and His love and His forgiveness. Well, God sent us prophets, sent us the greater prophet of Prophet Muhammad and prophets before him to tell us the way that God wants us to be. And after the prophet, it's the turn for the imams, the 12 imam that we have, which also they were the high school of teaching the morals and the rules of Islam. So let's say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. لقد كان لكم فيه أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر ومن يتولى فإن الله هو الغني الحميد. So for the people who don't follow my rules, God don't need them, but they will be losing the forgiveness and the mercy of God. And also, we have a word from the Prophet Muhammad saying that we have to follow his rules and the Ahlul Bayt rules. And there's so many things we have to know why we have to say we follow them. Okay, because they have all the nice things that we can learn from. They are faithful for God in their ibadat, in their religion, their practice. They do. They give the people help. they teach the right ways. So there is a story of one of the followers with the uh, Imam al-Baqir was being asked from Jabir. There's a lot of people who follow you, Ahl al-Bayt. And Imam al-Baqir said, there is a lot of people who say that we love you when we follow you and we follow the rules that you give us. But actually, they were just saying it by words. They don't have the action for it. And if you don't work and do the things we teach, then you're not the follower. So Jabir asked him, so who's the followers? Who was doing the right thing? And he said, who the followers who will became call themselves our Shia, they have to be humble. They have to fulfill the obligation of the people, helping the people, obligation of Islam. They have to do salah, they have to fast, they have to show affections and sympathy and obedience to their parents. So that's quite a lot. Assist and be kind to their neighbors and friends and people and the poor one. Those also, they have to be patient with people. They have to show mercy and help the people, the orphans, support them and be true. And they have to be reading Quran. They have to do the fasting and the Hajj. Without these qualification, they can't be the followers of us, the follower of Ahlul Bayt. So all these we have to practice and we have to do our best. So we can call ourselves we are the follower of Ahlul Bayt because we want their blessing. We want them to show us the right way to be closer to the Prophet and God. And if we become closer to God, we will be the people who will survive on the day of judgment. We're gonna be the people who will be get blessed from them and have the shafa'ah from them. They teach us quite a lot. Even Imam al-Baqir, he was also teaching not only the Islamic knowledge, he teach math, chemistry, and lots of science. So we need to know all these things to be better and to support our Imam Zaman, salamullah alayhi. When we want to be in his army for the next, when he come, we have to have a lot of knowledge to support him when he will come. We have to know all about medical, science, technology, and all these things so we can fight in a strong way with him. We have to be showing to the people now, before he come, we have to show that Muslim people can achieve really nicely and bravely high places. I'm sure everybody will be proud when they see a nice Muslim doctor, and especially when he's so kind and mercy, take care of his patients. You will be proud of a teacher when she's a Muslim teacher, when she teach you and be patient with you. You will be happy and proud with so many people who you think they are respectfully and they're doing their praise, they're doing their sadaqat and zakat and all the rules of the Islam. But when you see somebody who is like a doctor or let's say a high place, and he is Muslim, he say he is Muslim, but then he go and do bad things, you'll feel, okay, what's going on here? There's something wrong, and you shouldn't be. He shouldn't be doing that. Is that right? Like, let's say somebody who's not treating the patient in the right way, or somebody stealing, or somebody he's been really bad words, use bad words. All these are wrong. So yes, we need knowledge. Yes, we need to do these, become a good educational people. For the morals and the rules of Islam will show us the right way to be in a successfully way. And we come to the verse of at-tabarri. What does at-tabarri mean? It means saying that the people who's doing the bad thing, who's following the wrong path, we don't agree with them. We don't accept them. For example, do anybody accept what Yazid did to Imam Hussein? Of course not. So we always say we are we don't accept his doing. We tabarri from them because they did really bad thing. Everybody who do a bad thing, you have to be a little bit far away. If you can't teach him to become a good one, if you see he's doing something bad, you have to say this person is doing a really bad thing. Okay? For example, let's see one of your friends steals something. Would you like that? No, of course. So what should you do? You should say that this you shouldn't be stealing. If he didn't accept it and he didn't become a good person, admit he did wrong, then you should go to the teacher. Or you should say that to your parents. Somebody did a bad thing and I don't like that person who is doing the bad thing because he's not good. So when people who's doing like a bigger thing, which is like al-kufr, he's kafir, you don't agree there is a God, would you like to be a friend with him? I don't think so, because you believe in God and you can see everything around you of how God is so merciful and so he did so many nice things around you, even nobody can do. You can see the creations of God, from the small ant to the big elephant, and in small details even. So you can't say there's no God. So these people are ignoring the right of God, that the God is available in, and they don't believe in him. So that's not nice. So you shouldn't be friend with this kind of people. Okay, you should be far away with them, far away from them. And by that, we have a lot of lessons of people who followed the wrong people and where they went in the end. They lost not only in this dunya, in this lifetime, but they lost in the afterwards. And on the day of judgment, they won't be in the right side. We can't escape the application of being making excuse of that we do not hurt Allah in our deeds, or do hurt Ahlul Bayt or the Prophet. So people who hurt them, we shouldn't accept it. And on the day of Ashrat Muharram, we've seen so many people that give us the right example. The friends, the family, Imam Hussein, they all stayed in this side that pleased God. And they did a very brave, and they were standing so tough with fighting the wrong side, who followed the wrong side of God. So I want you all to be memorized of how to be brave and which side you have to choose. Should you choose the right side, Imam al-Hussein side, or should you choose the side of Muawiyah? I hope everybody will choose the side of Imam al-Hussein and be brave and fight, because every day we have a fight, not only with Imam Hussein in that time, every day we fight here. Do you fight your sometimes we like to do things like listening to music. Do you fight that? It's not nice. It's haram. Do you listen to it? I hope not. Imam Hussein wouldn't like that. Do you fight the shaitan when he tell you you want to sleep, you don't want to wake up for Salat al-Subh? Yes, you have to fight him. You have to get up and do your Salah. You have to get up and do Salat al-Dhuhr, al-Asr, al-Maghrib, al-Isha. Even if sometimes you're busy playing or you're so tired, you have to fight your shaitan or the people around you from doing the bad things. They're always whispering, either friends or shaitan in your soul. So you always have the fight to be with the right side or the bad side. And I hope all the time you win with the right side. And thank you for the lesson for today. I hope everybody will choose the side of Imam al-Hussein and Ahl al-Bayt and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the right and bright Islam. Thank you very much. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل Muhammad. Thank you very much, Sister Layla, for that beautiful lesson. There was lots of gems in that lesson and in all of her lessons, so please make sure you kids are all listening when Sister Layla is giving us a lesson, and also Sister Zainab. So now we have Suha. Suha, if you can hear me, can you please unmute your mic and turn your camera on, inshallah, so we can hear you and see you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to be talking about Abu
What's
Fadl
next?
Abbas.
Oh yeah, Duan Zainab wanna reset.
Sorry.
No, sorry, continue.
Today I'm going to talk about Abu Fadl Abbas, and he's the brother of Imam Hussein. And Abu Fadl Abbas, he was a great shining figure in Islamic history with so many stories of the great deeds that he's done in his life. And from the birth of Imam Hussein, because Imam Ali, because of the knowledge that Allah has gifted him and because of the knowledge that the Prophet ﷺ has taught him, he knew of the tragic death of his son in Karbala. So after the death of Fatima al-Zahra, Imam Ali, he wanted another strong and brave son to protect and support Hussein in Karbala. So he went to advice. So Imam Ali went to advise to his older brother, his name was Aqil, because he knew all of the different morals of all of the different Arab tribes. So for example, which tribe was generous, humble, or brave, and etc. And the brave tribe was Bani Kilab, and they weren't only brave, they were also honorable, and they were also very unproblematic, because they only defended themselves when war came to them. They wouldn't unnecessarily attack others. And Imam Ali, he wanted a woman that wouldn't just give birth to any normal kids. He wanted a brave son. And Aqil, he recommended Fatima bint Hizam, and she was from a well-known family with a good personality, moral, and values. So Aqil and Ridwan, he's the son of Abu Talib, he went to Hizam's house to stay for 3 days, because in the Arab culture back in the days, it was a trend that you had to stay, that you had to welcome somebody into your house for 3 days and make them feel homely before you can ask them if you could be of any service to them and the purpose of their visit. So on the 3rd day, Hizam, he asked for the purpose of their visit, and they asked for his daughter's hand in marriage on behalf of Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen. So Hizam, he obviously had to ask his daughter's permission first. And when he went to her tent, he found her telling her mother her dream. And her dream was that there were some stars in her bed, and the moon came down and was with her as well. So Hizam, he then told Fatima that Aqil came and she would marry Amir al-Mu'mineen. And she'll birth 4 sons, one named Qamar al-Ashira, moon, which means moon of the tribe. Then the marriage was completed. And when Fatima moved in, she asked permission from Hassan, Hussein, and Zainab if she could be a servant to them because of their greatness, as they were the grandchildren of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, Fatima, she noticed that whenever Imam Ali would call her by her name, the children, they would get sad because they would remember the tragic death of their mother, Fatima Zahra. So she told Imam Ali to call her al-Baneen, which translates to mother of the boys. Now in year 26, that was when Abu Fadl was born. And when he was born, Imam Ali, when he saw his hands, he kissed them and he started crying. And al-Baneen, she was confused. She said, and she wondered if there was anything wrong with his hands. So she asked Imam Ali, is there anything wrong with his hands? What's wrong? And he said, no, nothing's wrong. It's just because I know that these hands will be cut in the future for the sake of Allah to protect Imam Hussein in Karbala. And all of Abbas's life, he was taught that Hussein was his master and that he was his servant. One time, Imam Ali, he was delivering a sermon, and Imam Hussein, he felt thirsty. So Abbas, he ran and he brought water for him. And the pot was very full, so he was spilling a bit because he was just a child. And when Imam Ali saw this from the pulpit, he started crying because he remembered the scene of when he was bringing Sukaina water in Karbala. There's a lot of stories to talk about Abbas during his life, but now I'm going to talk about his time in Karbala. It was said that he was so tall that when he rode his horse, his feet were near the ground, and he was a very beautiful man and he was fearless. He didn't fear anything. So Hussein, he would always remind Abbas that they were going to save Islam. They were not going to fight, and they were going to teach the true Islam by their characters, not their swords. And he was always told that patience was the key. Even when Yazid's men, they pulled Hussein's tent out from the riverbank, Abbas, he was obviously very angry because he was being treated very badly. But Hussein, he told him to be patient, and he reminded him that they were not going to fight, they were going to save Islam. Now when Ashura came, Ali Akbar, he gave his last adhan, and they all prayed Fajr in the tents of Hussein. Now when the Battle of Karbala began, one by one, all of Hussein's companions, they went out and they all got martyred. And every time a new body was brought, Abbas, he repetitively asked Imam Hussein to let him go to the battlefield and fight those beastly men. And every time Hussein, he calmed Abbas down by saying, "No, Abbas, how can I let you go support? Where would I be without you?" Now Abbas's 3 brothers went and they were martyred. Aun and Muhammad went and they were martyred. Qasim went and his body was trampled and torn to pieces. Now Abbas, he obviously became very restless and he was trying to find a way to get permission to go out to the battlefield and fight. So he walked to the tent of Kulthum and Zainab, but then he turned back because he knew that they would never let him go. Just then, little Sukaina, she came with her meshk and she told him that she was thirsty and her meshk was very dry. A meshk, it's like this water carrying bag that's usually made of waterproof goatskin, when like they used to have that back in the day when they would be away for a long time. Now Abbas, he thought of a way to get permission by using Sukaina. So he sat in front of Hussein with Sukaina on his lap. And Hussein, he looked at Abbas, Sukaina, and then the meshk, and he understood by Abbas's expression. He didn't need to say anything. So Imam Hussein, he allowed Abbas to go to the battlefield only if he didn't take his sword, because he wasn't going to fight. He was only going to bring water for Sukaina. So Abbas, he gave Hussein his sword and he kissed Sukaina and he said, "Sukaina, pray for me, pray that I get water for you." Then Abbas, he went to Zainab as well and she allowed him to go to the battlefield. Now he started going to the battlefield, and in one hand he carried the alam of Hussein's army, and in the other he carried a spear and Sukaina's meshk. He didn't have a sword to fight, but he had a spear for protection. Now he started going to the river Furat. Yazid's soldiers, they saw Abbas coming, and most of them were scared because they've seen him fight before, and he was like his father, Imam Ali. He was a very brave warrior. And some of those who dared to attack, they got killed by his spear. So now they reached the river. Imam Abbas and his sword, Abbas and his horse, and then they filled Sukaina's meshk. He asked his horse to drink, and then it turned around and it seemed to say, "Master, are you sure the water will reach Sukaina? I can't drink when she's thirsty. Let's first give them water and then I will drink." So they started heading back. Now Umar Sa'ad, who was Yazid's commander, he saw them and he ordered his men to stop Abbas from taking water to the tents of Hussein. So it was just Abbas and his horse, and all of the enemies, they were just surrounding Abbas all around him. And all of them were firing arrows from all different directions, and Abbas, he was bleeding. So a soldier came from behind and he put a sword in his soldier. And Abbas, he gripped the meshk with his teeth, and as his arm and spear fell to the ground. Now another soldier struck another sword into his other shoulder, and the alam and the other arm fell to the ground. But he still had the strength to take the water to Sukaina, because the water had to reach Sukaina. So now another arrow was shot, and it hit Sukaina's meshk between his teeth, and the water started pouring out. Now that was when Abbas lost all of his strength, and he shouted and he cried. He said, "Master, come to me. Let me see you for the last time." Hussein was heartbroken. Imagine how he felt when he saw his brother with no arms lying on the ground, covered all in blood. So he rushed to the battlefield with Ali Akbar, and Imam Hussein, he put Abbas's head on his lap. And Hussein said, "My brother Abbas, you are leaving me too? What will I do without you? You are my support. I'm finished without you. Can I do anything for you?" And Abbas said, "When I came to this world, I first saw your face. I would like to see your face leaving this world as well." And Imam Hussein, he asked Abbas, "Why can't you see me?" And Abbas replied, "My eyes are covered in blood, master." So Hussein, he cleaned Abbas's eyes and he just gazed at Hussein. And Hussein, he said that he had a wish too. He said, my brother Abbas, all your life you have called me master. Once, just once, call me brother. So Abbas said, Hussein, my brother, do not take my body back to the tents. I'm ashamed of myself. I don't want Sukaina to see me like this. I don't want Kulthum and Zainab to see me like this. I don't want them to cry. And that was when he took his last breath and he died. So Imam Hussein, he took the alam and he wrapped Sukaina's mashk around it, and he headed back to the camp. And Sukaina, she saw him and he said, come children, come. My uncle Abbas is coming with water. I will give all of you some. And Hussein said, Zainab, help me. The alam has come, but the alam dar has not. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah and to him we shall return. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, Zahra. In my life, all I want is to be what you want. In my life, all I want is to be what you want. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours. If I live to please you, I will please my Lord too. If I live to please you, I will please my Lord too. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours. Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra. Ever since I recall, all I ever sensed was your presence and your soul. My mother called out in joy and sorrow, your name is all I heard. Ever since a child, by you inspired. Ever since a child, by you inspired. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours. Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra. Daughter of he who brought peace and blessings into a darkened world. He stand up to show the world your respect, a part of him, his heart. Mother of your father, such as your honor. Mother of your father, such as your honor. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours. Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra. Wife of the one who lifted the gate of Khaybar and fought with strength. Son of Abu Talib would find peace by glancing at your room. Ali strength and power held in this flower. Ali strength and power held in this flower. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours. Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra. The sun, moon, and stars circle your household, and never will they stop. The rivers and streams flow in your name too. each wave singing your praise. O my Lady Zahra, I pray to Allah. O my Lady Zahra, I pray to Allah. All I want to become, all I want to become is yours, Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Zahra.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
Ali Muhammad. Thank you very much, Hania and Abiha, for that beautiful recitation. And now it's time for us to welcome our second teacher, Ustadha Zainab Ahadi, for ages 13 plus. And the topic she'll be speaking about is parents in Islam, once again, but the second part this time. Sister Zainab Ahadi, if you can hear me, please unmute and turn your camera on.
محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear viewers, my young brothers and sisters, respected scholars, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to continue the topic which we were doing yesterday, which was to do with parents in Islam. And I would like to focus more specifically on fathers today, and then parents generally. So we're going to have a look at the role of a father in Islam. We're going to look at what are the rights of a father in Islam, how should we treat our parents, and how children respected their fathers in Karbala. So looking at the role of our father, yesterday we looked at the very important role of a mother and how she carries her child for 9 months in the womb. And we looked at when we're born, how she looks after us and then takes care of us, brings the child up, brings all of us up, provides us with love and support, and she's a huge role model to her child. We talked about the sacrifices which she makes as well. And today when we look at the father's role in Islam, we will see that it is different to that of a mother. His responsibility is different. You see, whereas a mother's job is to nurture and bring up the child, the man's role is to provide for the family and ensure that the needs of the child and family, like food, clothes, and shelter, are met. We need to understand that our father's role is also very important and honoured in Islam too. Your father also makes sacrifices, but in a different way. You see, he goes to work. He gives his time to earn money for the family so that there can be food and bread on the table, so he can provide you with somewhere to live. He earns money so he can buy you nice clothes and the things that you want. He earns money so that he can provide for your education. He makes many sacrifices too. He might have to put up with lots of problems at work. People there might treat him badly. It might not be a nice environment. Think of the long journeys to and from work in the rush hour traffic. He might have less time to be able to rest and less time to be able to spend with his family. So why does he do this? So that he can meet the needs of his family. And your father has also got certain rights which are clearly said to us in Risalat al-Hukuk by Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. And it's very important to recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us blessings in our fathers too, but he's honored them in a different way to our mothers. If we look at the rights of our father, as mentioned by Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, he says, the right of your father is that you know that he is your root and you are his branch, and without him you would not be. Whenever you see anything in yourself which pleases you, you should know that your father is the root of its blessing upon you. So praise God and thank him in that measure, and there is no strength save in God. And we really need to think about this. We need to look at this. How many times have we done really well, for example, in an exam, and we thought that, our success is ourselves, is due to ourselves. We've worked really hard, and therefore, we're the ones who've been successful. It's because of us. Undoubtedly, yes, you've worked really hard. But know that the root of that blessing is because of your father. That's the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given your father. And we all need to recognize this. You see, what Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam is saying is that whatever is manifested in the child has the roots in the existence of the father. You see, whatever you see in yourself that you're pleased with, understand where it came from. It came from your father. So do not be disrespectful Do not look down on your father. And I say this because, you see, there are many times today, in today's society, when a child might look down at their father because they feel that they're more educated than them. They have more GCSEs or A-levels or degrees or qualifications. And this is not right, just because your father doesn't have that. We shouldn't be proud or arrogant or feel superior just because of this. You have to see your father's time was different to yours. Maybe he didn't have that opportunity. Maybe they didn't have the money for him to have that kind of education. So don't hurt your father. Don't say things like, what would you know? You don't even have GCSEs. Or I know what I'm talking about. I sat a course in that. You haven't. Don't say these horrible things. They really hurt your father. And I'm not saying that you do say them. I'm just saying that, we have to be careful how we speak to our parents and, how we speak to our fathers. You have to remember who was it who worked hard so that you could go to school, study at college, get where you've got, and inshallah get a good career in life. You see, all the successes we have are because of our fathers. So we should be feeling how fortunate we are that we have been able to acquire that education and get to where we are today because our father supported us and provided for us. So remember, whatever excellent qualities you feel you have, know that your father is the root cause of that. Developing from that point, another thing is, don't look down on the job that your father has or compare it to that of your friends. You see, obtaining halal livelihood in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worship. Maybe your friends' fathers might be doctors or dentists. Maybe yours is a builder or a plumber. Their job is no less important. It's just different. You see, there's actually this, stereotype of people who are, rubbish collectors or clean the streets, that they're like lowlifes. And this is very bad. You see, what people need to understand is what would happen to our society if people in life didn't actually do these jobs as well. There is no harm in a halal livelihood, and we shouldn't look down on people just because their job is different to ours. You see, one of our imams has told us that doing hard work, which is halal, is one of the best forms of ibadat, best forms of worship. And your fathers, they're working hard, they're doing jobs which are halal. And this is telling us that their status is as if they're worshipping Allah. I mean, imagine if you're talking about ibadah, imagine if you stay up all night in prayer, or you fast all day. Your fathers are, working hard all day to provide for you, and they're doing it in a halal way. It is as if they are worshipping. And we know that the Prophet of Allah, Imam Ali alayhi salam, has said that Allah's worship is of 70 types, and the best of those is striving to earn a legitimate livelihood. Something that is important here to mention is that all religions tell us that we should respect our parents. In the Bible, it says, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. In Judaism, everything is based on the 10 commandments, and one of those 10 commandments is respect or honor your father and mother. So I want you to think about this idea of the branch and the roots. And I want you to understand that when we're talking about your father being the root of your success and you are the branch, look at it another way. Imagine a tree, how big and strong it is. But you see, the tree started from the root, and that root of the tree is much older than the new branches which come along. So if imagine that you are a branch, and while you are fishing and moving from strength to strength and getting your flowers and your leaves, your root, the root of that tree, is getting older. So if you look at that as being your father, while you're getting, you're growing up, your father is getting older and maybe physically weaker. And you need to remember that and understand that your branch only came because of the root of that tree. Take care of your parents. Take care of your fathers as they get old. Don't be afraid to tell them how much you love them or to give them a hug. Fathers need love too. And all plants need water. Water the plant of your father with love, kindness, and compassion. If we look at the last part about the rights of the father, where Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam says, so praise God and thank him in that measure, and there is no strength save in God. The Imam is telling us that it's only possible through divine assistance, from help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we can recognize the blessings from our father. We can recognize his rights. It's only through God's help that we can properly perform our duties regarding our father. So we should ask God to help us in this respect. But remember, all blessings everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your father is your root of all successes, but the blessing in your father that makes him your root comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A man came to the Holy Prophet and he asked him about the right of a father, which is incumbent upon a child. And the Prophet replied that he should not call his father by his name, and he should not walk ahead of him. He should not sit down before he does, and he should not do things to cause his father to be blamed or sworn at. Let's look at this. Do not call him by his name. Sometimes you hear children calling their father Muhammad or, I don't know, Peter. You hear it in other societies as well, or Mahmoud or Abbas or whatever. This is not correct. It's not respectful. Your father, dad, or father, or pa, papa, whatever word it is that you know, which is a nice, gentle, compassionate word, but don't use his name. It's very disrespectful. Never walk in front of him in a gathering. So, for example, when you go to mosque, for example, you're going somewhere, let him walk in first. And when you're there at a meeting or a gathering, or wherever you are with your father, let him sit down before you. Don't do anything which will bring abuse to your father's reputation. And that's the one which I want to spend a bit more time looking at. You see, many times young people get involved in things and they don't care about how it affects, and especially they don't care about how it affects the father's reputation. You see, this is wrong. You see, your father is giving you his name, so don't ruin it by your actions and your behavior. You're a father. Think of it in this way, that you shouldn't do haram things and you shouldn't do wrong things, and you should remember you should follow the teachings of Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should obey him. But look at how the things that you do, how could they destroy your father's reputation? If you go to the wrong place, you meet the wrong, you take part in things which are wrong or haram, and they can tarnish your father's good name, and they can make him feel ashamed and humiliated to be able to ever show his face again in front of his peers and community, people he has to face all the time. You can ruin his reputation and humiliate him like that. And it's your father's right that you don't do that. Remember, you should obey your father. Remember, you should obey your father unless he wants you to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yesterday we spoke about obedience, which is something which is expected for both our parents, that we should be obedient to them. And, unless it goes against the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt in Islam, then we cannot disobey them. We have to obey them. If it goes against the teaching, that's different. Then we cannot obey them on that particular aspect, but we still have to be respectful towards them. Yazid had a son whom he called Muawiyah after his own father, but Muawiyah was different. He became the Khalifa after Yazid died. And one day Muawiyah heard in his household, he heard some of the servants talking. He heard them say that he had the right of Imam Zain al-Abidin. Yazid had taken this right. He decided that he was going to give a khutbah, but it wasn't Friday. And people said, okay, look, it's not Friday, why are you going there? But he said, look, everyone come to the mosque. So everybody went to the mosque, and he gave a khutbah, and he said that he told the people that the caliphate was not his, that it belonged to Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. You see, he didn't just obey his father's expectations of him to be Khalifa, when he realized that that belonged to Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. He went against this. He went against his father about accepting something which was wrong. And in fact, he was actually murdered because of this. In terms of respecting our fathers, let's take a look at Prophet Musa. Prophet Musa was told by Allah, he was instructed by him, that when he goes to see Pharaoh, to speak gently to him, to speak softly. We're talking about Pharaoh, who told everybody he was God and they needed to worship him. Imagine what Allah is telling him, that you need to speak gently when you go and speak to him. Why? Because Prophet Musa had been brought up in the household of Pharaoh. For 15 years, he'd been there, is almost as if that person was his father. So look how important it is to respect your fathers. So I want you to understand that although we have looked at the different rights of our fathers and mothers, in Islam, God does not just say, only respect and listen to your mother. It's clear that our parents. So, how should we treat our parents? How can we honor and respect them? And what Allah wants us to do. Well, we should respect them because, and disrespecting our parents is actually a major sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told them that firstly, we should actually, it's told us, sorry, we should speak to them gently. And if we look at the 17th surah of the Quran, look at Surah Al-Isra, it says, talk to them gently. And it says this by saying, and your Lord has decreed that you worship, that you not worship except Him, and to parents good treatment. Whether one or both of them reach old age while with you, say not to them so much as uff, and do not repel them, but speak to them a noble word. So here, sorry, Allah is telling us to speak nicely to our parents and not to be rude to them. You see, when we say uff, it's kind of like probably the softest form of annoyance you can show your parents, like uff. Think of it, uff, make the sound. I mean, not to your parents, but just see what it sounds like. And we're being told here not to even do that. And do we do that, or do we say worse things? Do we get really cross? So we shouldn't roll our eyes and, show rudeness through our body language or be abusive. In fact, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, do not use the sharpness of your tongue on the mother who taught you how to speak. And I think that's really lovely hadith to think about all the time, because many times we are rude to our parents, especially our mothers, because they're the ones who spend more time with us, and they're the ones who tell us so many times what we need to do, and we don't always like to hear what she has to say. We've been told, do not raise your voice above theirs. We've been told, fulfill our parents' needs. How else can we respect our parents? How else can we behave towards them? Thank them, pray for them. Do not sit when they're standing. Do not walk in front of them unless you've been told to do so by them. And do not speak when they're speaking. One thing, never correct them in front of other people. How many times we're in front of our friends and they may say something and, we correct them and we embarrass them, we humiliate them, we hurt them. Do not displease them or make them angry. Did you know that displeasing your parents, displeasing your mother, that at the time of death, even saying their shahada can be very difficult to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, because of a parent's displeasure. The Prophet was asked to come home one day because there was a young man who was dying, but he was not able to say the shahada. He was not able to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. And the Prophet came to the man and he asked him to say it, but the young man couldn't say this. So the mother was there. He turned to the mother and he asked her, how long has this young man not spoken to you? And she said, 6 years. For 6 years, she has been displeased with her son because he had been disobedient to her. And it was her displeasure that was preventing him from being able to die with the shahada on his lips. So the Prophet said to her that, look, forgive her. I'm here. Forgive her on behalf of for my sake, forgive him. And as soon as, she said, okay, Ya Rasulullah, I forgive him. For your sake, I forgive him. Straight away, this young man was able to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, before he died. Never insult or be angry, argue or shout at your parents. And do not hurt them, even if they're not Muslims. And I say this because today, not all parents, it's always been like that, but some parents are not Muslim. So even if they're not, we still have to treat them with respect and kindness and obey them. There was a man, he came to the Holy Prophet. He was Muslim, I think he was a convert. And his mother was Jewish. So he told him, he said, look, my mother's Jewish. How should I treat her? Do you know what the Prophet said? He told her to treat her with extra kindness. Treat her double as the way he's already been treating her. So he went home and he followed the Prophet's advice and he treated her extra kind. And his mother noticed this and she asked him, look, why are you treating me so well? What's happened? And he said, this is what my Prophet has told me to do. He told me that heaven lies beneath the feet of my mother. When she said that, she said to him, if that is what your Prophet has said, then I want to join the religion of your Prophet Muhammad. Imagine, through the love and the kindness, this man's behavior converted his own Muslim mother to Islam. Be patient to our parents. Be patient to our, both of them. How many times do we become impatient when they're older? Because they don't know how to do something. I'll give an example of technology because that's the rage these days. It's moving so fast. So, you've got social media, you've got all these different things, Twitter, Facebook, all this stuff, mobile phones. And sometimes your parents, they're not able to keep up with it all, or maybe they don't have time. They're so busy looking after us, and doing things for us, that they don't get time to spend knowing how to do everything. So they might ask us, how do I do this, or how do I do that? And we get cross with them. We roll our eyes and we huff and we puff, as if they're asking us to run a marathon. It's like, why? Don't do that. Don't treat them like that. How many times did your father, help you to learn to ride your bike? Every time you fell off, every time he made you get back on, he taught you. How many times did your mother tie your shoelaces because you couldn't do that, Lou? Or help you to button your shirt because you found the buttons too tight? You won't even remember. I want to end this point with a small story which puts it quite in perspective. There was an old man who was sitting on a sofa in his house with his highly educated son, who was busy reading, and suddenly this crow perched onto the windowsill. So the father asked his son, "Hey, what's that?" And the son replied, "It's a crow." Remember, this man, he's old. This father's old. After a few minutes, the father asked his son again, "What's that?" And the man said, "Father, I just told you, it's a crow." After a little while, the old father asked him a third time. He says, "What is this?" And the son said with some irritation, "It's a crow, a crow." A moment passed, and then the father asked again, "Hey, what's that?" And the son replied, "Why do you keep asking me the same question again and again?" The son shouts at his father, "I have told you so many times, it's the stupid crow. Can't you understand that?" The father said nothing. He left the room, and he returned with this old tattered diary, which he flicked through. And he kept this diary since the son was born. And he hands it to his son and he asks him, "Read that page." So the man reads, and it says, "Today my little son, aged 3, was sitting with me on the sofa when a crow landed on the window. My son asked me 23 times what it was, and each time hugged him, kissed his head, and said, 'It's a crow.'" In Surah 17 of the Quran, it says, in Surah Al-Isra, it says, "And your Lord has decreed that you worship none but him, and that you be dutiful to your parents. If one of them or both of them attain old age in your life, say not to them a word of disrespect, nor shout at them, but address them in terms of honor. And lower unto them the wing of submission and humility through mercy, and say, 'My Lord, bestow on them your mercy, as they did bring me up when I was young.'" I want to end today's discussion with a small message that we can take from Owen and Muhammad, the 2 young sons of Bibi Zainab, who went to Karbala. You see, their father Abdullah was ill and he was not able to come to Karbala. That's what narrations tell us. And so he told Bibi Zainab that they would represent him at Karbala. They would be his sacrifice. And that was the wish of their father. So when they were at Karbala, their father wasn't there. Even though he was not present, they loved Abu Abdullah. They wanted to protect him, to serve him in the way of Islam. They wanted to make their fathers, they wanted to make their father and their mother proud of them. They fought and they gave their lives to serve Imam Hussein. Remember, children, even when your fathers are not present, you know what they want from you. You know what their expectations of you are. Don't do wrong things because they can't see you. Don't dishonor them. Don't dishonor their name. And let's remember how important they are to us. When was the last time you told your parents that you loved them? You hugged them, you kissed them. Show them how much you love them, my young brothers and sisters. Don't wait for Mother's Day. Don't wait for Father's Day or for their birthdays or Eid. Write them notes or even a letter and give it to them, or put it into little places where they can see it. Show them through your actions. Be kind to them. Help them when they need it without them asking. Show them compassion and think about how they are your blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, my young brothers and sisters, we are living in bad times. The pandemic, COVID-19. Many parents have lost loved ones. Many people have lost loved ones. Children have lost parents. Parents have lost children. Remember, your parents are a blessing in your lives. They're the greatest gift from God. In honor of all the fathers and mothers in Karbala, let us make a promise to ourselves to hold our parents in the highest esteem and treat them with the utmost care, love and compassion. Labayk ya Hussein. Labayk ya Hussein. Thank you.
Ali Muhammad.
Thank you very much, Ustadha Zainab, for that lesson. There's a lot of stuff that we can take from that. Our parents have raised us, and our parents have raised us since we were young, and the least we can do is respect and obey them. So now it's time for us to welcome Elishba and Naki to recite something for us. If you can hear me, please unmute and turn your camera on.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I will be reciting Surah Al-As. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal-Asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajib falajhum. I will be reciting. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I will be reciting Ayatul Kursi. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ardh. Man dhal ladzi yashfa'u indahu illa bi iznihi. يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فجرهم. Thank you.
Hello? Today I'll be talking about Habib ibn Mazahir. Today, today being the 5th of Muharram, our majlis will continue. We will recite more nawahas or mourn the greatest loss in Karbala. Day by day, the scene in Karbala is changing. More and more soldiers join join the enemy's camp. Thousands have gathered to kill Hussein. Bibi Zainab said to her brother, "Brother Hussein, thousands of soldiers have gathered to fight you. Don't we hardly have 72 men with us. Do you want any more to come and help?" My sister Zainab, and Imam Hussein replied, "My sister Zainab, many wanted to join me during the journey from Medina to Karbala, but I politely discouraged them because their intention was not truthful. Many joined and have run away during the journey because they are scared of death." He continued, "Zainab, my sister, falsehood can buy many supporters, but truth has only a few friends. The soldiers on the other side have all been bought. They prefer happiness in this world than the hereafter. My 72 truthful men prefer happiness in this world and the hereafter, and that's why they are with me. The night Imam Hussein wrote a letter to his childhood friend Habib ibn Mazahir, who was in Kufa. Kufa was blocked off, and nobody was allowed to leave. Habib ibn Mazahir did not know the whereabouts of Imam Hussein until the letter arrived at his house. At the time, he was having breakfast with his wife and young son. Habib read the letter from Hussein and kissed it, and tears began to flow from his eyes. I have received a letter from... And then Habib read the letter from Hussein, and his wife asked what was wrong. And then Habib replied, I have received a letter from my master Hussein. He has asked me to join him in Karbala. Yazid's soldiers have surrounded him and are after his life. Then his wife replied, Habib, your childhood friend has called for you. Your master needs your help. What are you waiting for? Go before it's too late. Habib, but the thing that was holding Habib back was his worry on how he was going to escape Kufa without being seen. He instructed his slave to take his horse outside the city and wait for him there. The slave did as he was told. The slave waited for his master, but his master was delayed. The slave started talking to the horse. Oh horse, Master Hussein is in trouble. He needs help. He has asked my master Habib to join him. Master is late. Horse, if he does not manage to escape from Kufa, I will ride you and go to Hussein's help. At Asr time, most of the men were in mosque. Habib managed to reach the farm where his horse was waiting. He quickly mounted his horse and said to his slave, Go, my friend, go. I am freeing you from my service. But then the slave replied, Master, you are not being fair. I have served you faithfully for many years now. I have a chance to serve the son of Bibi Fatima, and you are asking me to go? Why are you denying me a place in heaven? Habib asked his slave to mount his horse. Together they galloped towards Karbala. Habib reached Karbala late in the evening. Imam Hussein greeted him with great affection. When Bibi Zainab heard that Habib had come, she asked her maid Fiza to convey her greetings to Habib. When Habib heard that Bibi Zainab has sent greetings, he screamed out of grief and anger. He threw his turban down on the ground. He slapped his face. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he spoke. What a sad day. What has happened to the household of Bibi Fatima, the princess, granddaughter of the Holy Prophet, the daughter of Ali, and Fatima is sending her greetings to an ordinary person like me? Yazid, you beast, you tyrant, what have you done to the household of Bibi Fatima? Days and nights of Muharram passed by and Ashura came. At dawn, Ali Akbar gave adhan for the last time. Yazid's soldiers blew the trumpets to start the battle. One by one, Hussein's companions went to the battlefield and gave their lives to Islam. Hussein, Abbas, and Ali Akbar were busy from dawn to midday, collecting bodies from the battlefield. Between Dhuhr and Asr time, Habib, Habib ibn Mazahir came to Hussein. He said, "My master Hussein, allow me to go to the battlefield. Let me sacrifice my life for Islam." Then Imam Hussein replied, "Habib, my childhood friend, stay with me. You give me comfort, my friend." Habib, 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 Habib accepted his request. Eventually, Hussein gave him permission. Hussein mounted his friend Habib on the horse. Habib ibn Mazahir rode into the battlefield. He fought bravely, but was but was finally overpowered. He fell on the ground. As Habib fell to the ground, an enemy soldier came over and cut his head. All the all the martyrs of Karbala had their heads cut off, but Habib's was the first to be cut off by the enemy. Habib's head was not hung on the spear's head like like that of the other martyrs. Habib's head was tied to a horse and pulled along the land of Karbala. Later on in Sham, Habib's head was tied to a horse's neck. A young boy called Qasim followed the horse wherever it went. One day, the man riding the horse asked the young boy Qasim, "Why are you following me around? What do you want?" Qasim just looked at the head hanging from the horse's neck. Then the man asked again, "Why are you staring at the head?" And then he replied, "This is the head of my father Habib ibn Mazahir. Please give it to me so that I can bury my father's head." Habib's head seemed to look at his son and say, "My son Qasim, you are thinking of burying my head? What about the head of Hussein on the spearhead? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." We are from Allah and we shall return to Him. Jazakallah khair.
Muhammad. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sahil, for that talk about Habib ibn Mudahir. I hope to have you come back and recite something for us again in the next couple of nights. I just want to ask now can we welcome Qaim? Qaim, if you're here, can you please unmute and turn your camera on? Okay, that's fine. Now
Dua and Zainab, can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
What are you guys doing today?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nade aliyan mazhar al-ajaib. Nade aliyan mazhar al-ajaib. Tajadahu ana laka fin nawaim. Qul huwa wa ghammim sayanjali. Qul huwa wa ghammim sayanjali. Bivalayatika ya Ali ya Ali adrakin. We are the Shia of Ali. We are the Shia of Ali. Ali, 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 Ali. We know that we will face torture and pain, but that will never stop us from calling your name. We'll hold your flag up high as it touches the sky, holding tight to the rope of hope we find. With your strength in our side, we will never fall. We are the Shia of Ali. We are the Shia of Ali. Ali, 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 Ali. This is our pride and dignity. Our master is Ali. We can face every pain and every single difficulty We call him with our hearts, and he hears our cries. Ya Ali, we beseech you, help us please, and once he does please, we will never fall. We are the Shia of Ali. We are the Shia of Ali. Ali, 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 Ali. Nare Hedri. Ali. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد
وآل محمد.
Thank you very much, Dua and Zainab, for that Latmia, and indeed we are the Shia of Ali. So now it's time for us to welcome. Thank you. Now it's time for us to welcome our final reciter of the night, Sania Zahra. If you can hear me, please unmute and turn your camera on.
Sania Zahra. Wa alaikum salam.
Today I'm fine. Today I'm going to be reciting a poem called Am I Not from the Holy Progeny? Today I will read a poem that was originally in Urdu and I translated it myself in English. In this poem, Imam Hussein is addressing the army of Yazid and making them realize his status. My grandfather is Nabi, my mum is Sayyida, my dad is Ali, and my brother is Hassan. We are the Punjaban. What is my fault? Why do you shed water on me? Am I not a loved one of Muhammad? My grandfather taught me the Kalma, and he read the Quran to me. Am I not the grandson of the Prophet? Why do you shed water on me? Am I not a loved one of Muhammad? In Medina, where my home is, and in the masjid is the door of that house. Did I not play in that house? Why do you shed water on me? Am I not a loved one of Muhammad? Why do you shed water on me? Am I not a loved one of Muhammad? Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So now we've actually come to... Oh, thank you, Sania Zahra, for that poem. Now I think we can conclude the show here, and we've actually come to the end of the show. I hope you guys enjoyed today, and tomorrow is actually the 6th night, so please remember, guys, to call in, as there's only like a couple more nights left. So now to end the show, we'll end it with Ziyaarat.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن، عجل الله فرجك وسهل الله مخرجه وظهوره. والسلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل Muhammad. Thank you very much to all of our viewers who came and viewed this program today. It's a pleasure to have you all here, and to all the reciters as well and teachers, thank you very much. Inshallah, we'll be back again tomorrow, same time. We literally have about 4 or 5 nights left So please, if you do want to recite something, if you want to give a short speech, if you want to give us a little talk, we only have a couple more days left. So please, please, please don't forget, if you do want to recite anything, talk about anything, join us on Zoom. The Zoom code is 279-413-7600. 279-413-7600. Inshallah, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.